Thanks very much, Rachel, and good morning, everyone. You're very, very welcome to Leave No Trace Ireland's official 2020 annual general meeting. My name is Pat Neville. I'm a voluntary director with Leave No Trace Ireland, and I'm the Master of Ceremonies for our AGM today. As Rachel has pointed out, please note that today's meeting is being recorded for administrative purposes. So this is our third online AGM, started during COVID, obviously. And this morning we're hosting the online event from the Knockranny House Hotel in Westport, County Mayo. So really delighted to see people joining, our members, our trainers, volunteers and staff this morning. And again, a warm welcome to our 2022 annual general meeting. The purpose of the meeting today will bring you up to date on the activities of 2021 and outline key changes made. And over the course of this morning, we will go through the official AGM business. Our purpose of this morning will update you on significant achievements from 2021 and some information on future developments. Before we get into the meat of that, there's a bit of housekeeping for us all. So during the AGM business, I kindly and politely ask everyone to check that your microphones remain on mute. I encourage everyone, if they're comfortable, to use your video if at all possible, or if you're comfortable to do that, it'd be great to see people's faces there as well. I'd like to draw your attention to the chat box facility in the participant panel at the bottom of the screen. If you have any questions or comments during the AGM, you can type them into the chat box and I will collate them as best I can. Ideally, please include your name and an organization when asking a question. So we'll summarize the questions and they'll be addressed after the presentations that we'll hear this morning, given by Paddy, our chair, Maura and Pearl. And equally at the end, there'll be an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have missed or things that might spring to mind at the end. So the agenda for today has been provided during registration and in the confirmation email. So that should be available to everyone, as are copies of our 2021 annual report and the financial statements, which have also been sent by email and are also available online through the website of Leave No Trace Ireland. So you can access them there as well. For the Twitterati among us, or people who like using the Twitter machine, if you feel like tweeting, we have a hashtag LNT, Leave No Trace AGM 2022. So just hashtag LNT AGM 2022. If anyone wants to tweet about it, please be active and let us know what you think. In terms of for voting, I'd like to outline how to vote on the resolutions during the meeting. Again, to vote, please use the chat box facility, which is on the bottom of your screen, to type your name, organization, and votes either in favor or against any given resolution. So that's essentially the running order for today. So thank you again for joining us. And I will now hand you over to our chairperson, Paddy Doherty, who will formally commence the AGM. Over to you, Paddy.
Thanks very much, Pat, and you're all very welcome to this AGM. And I think there's something like 30 people in attendance, which is a great turnout, you know, and thank you very much for taking the time. I'd just like to introduce you to a few people who will be contributing. Emma Fortune, who's a director and also our company secretary. Pearl Clarke, who is a director and our treasurer. And Maura Kiley, our CEO, who you're probably all very familiar with, you know. So we will have three presentations, or short enough presentations, focusing on the issues and the achievements of LNTI over the past year. And after that, there'll be an opportunity to have any questions or anything, clarifications that people want. In addition, at the end, if there's any further AOB type questions, we can deal with those as well, you know. So I'd encourage people to, you know, take part and also to join in on the proposing and seconding of resolutions as we come to that. The first business, I suppose, before we can carry on formally, is to establish whether we have actually a quorum for the meeting. So I'll ask Rachel if she can confirm to me that we have a quorum and we can proceed. So
I can confirm we have a quorum for the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. And the next, I suppose, formal procedure as well is to ask Emma to read out the formal notice of the AGM, which was sent out, you know, again for the record. Emma.
Thanks, Paddy. As Secretary of Leave No Trace Ireland, I'll now read out the official notice of the AGM. Notice is hereby given that the annual general meeting of Leave No Trace Ireland will be held via Zoom in Westport, County Mayo on the 26th of May 2022 at 11 a.m. for the following purposes: to receive and consider the Director's report, Auditor's report and financial statements of the company for the year ended the 31st of December 2021, to appoint the auditors of the company and to reappoint the solicitors and authorise the directors to fix their remuneration. Following the requirement of Regulation 52 of the Constitution for directors to appointment or re-election as directors, to enable the members to review the company's affairs, your attention is drawn to the following documents attached: 2021 annual report and financial statements of Leave No Trace Ireland, official notice of the 2022 AGM, the 2021 AGM minutes, proxy form 2022, consent form, agenda of the 2022 AGM, and members are kindly asked to attend the meeting via Zoom and by proxy. That's it. Thank you, Paddy.
Okay, thanks, Emma. The next formal procedure is to review the minutes of the 2021 AGM, which have been circulated. We haven't received any comment or amendment or anything to those, so I'd ask if we could have a proposer and a seconder from the floor so we can adopt those, please.
Propose, Paddy.
I second Bernie Lillis, Dublin City Council.
Sorry, just for the purposes of voting, no, if we'd ask the directors not to vote, just members, and we have so we have Anna Grant from Sport Ireland. We'd also need then another voting member.
Can I do it? I can do it on behalf of Dublin City Council, if that's okay. Am I allowed?
Sorry, Bernie, not for the purposes of this meeting.
Okay.
Just require another one.
But you can put me down, Heather Burnett in Ireland.
Sorry, Heather as well. We'd also
Heather
need,
Burnett, yeah.
we need another voter.
Sinead in Limerick City and County Council can.
Sorry, Sinead, not at this moment in time. No problem.
Rachel, can Waterways Ireland vote?
Yes, Waterways Ireland do.
Sit wearing another hat. Waterways Ireland vote.
Thank you very much. So we have Anna Grant and Cormac McCarthy. Thank you very much. Sorry, Paddy, just you're on mute at the moment.
Okay, apologies for that. I'll start again. Thank you very much. The minutes are now approved, so we move on to the next stage. As I said, I'll have a few kind of brief remarks followed by a more detailed account from Maura and Pearl in terms of the activities for 2021. The first thing to say from my own perspective is that it is actually a great pleasure to attend Leave No Trace AGMs, because first of all, the results have invariably been strong in the last few years, and the performance has also been excellent. You know, so it's certainly an event that I as chairman can look forward to. Looking at the financial side, and again, this will be gone through in more detail, but you know, we have come in with a solid surplus of 29,000. It has allowed us to grow our reserves, to have if you like a pot to dip into if times get tough, and reserves have now grown to almost 120,000. The big achievement this year, I think, is the growth in revenue from 346,000 to 666,000. I mean, that is substantial growth, I think, by any standards in any organisation, and I think reflects the the increasing scale and scope of Leave No Trace's activities, you know, which is great. And it's also been achieved at a time when, you know, we still had all the COVID issues and management had to duck and dive in terms of doing things online and so on, and adapt quickly, and they've certainly done that. So it's a fantastic achievement. It is totally in line with the objectives of the strategic plan. You know, that's you'll see that on the website, but the strategic plan is quite ambitious as regards growth. We're very much on line to achieving that. So it's been a very good year from that point of view. Growth in itself has to be managed. It's very important that we have the right people and the number of people to actually deliver the kind of activity levels that we're committed to. So matching resources with activity is really important, so that we don't overstretch or overpromise. Again, that has been managed well through the year, and is being managed well in 2022. And it's a great credit to management to kind of keep everything balanced from that point of view. We have expanded the staff numbers, but a lot of that has been on the basis of having more funding coming in, and our funding is a critical issue in this organization. We do get funding from quite a large number of sources, over 20 sources of funding, and we're grateful for every single one of them, I can assure you. But at the same time, we do need probably a more concentration, where we can get some larger grants in, which will give us, I think, a bit more scope to spend less time maybe managing projects as distinct from getting on with the business of kind of influencing the population at large, and having more in the way of advocacy and awareness campaigns. And that's something that we very much want to get to. The Leave No Trace message and the Leave No Trace principles, I think, is now being well established as being a platform that a lot of government and agencies and so on can build on. It's a common set of principles and messages that you know, can be used in all sorts of campaigns and so on. So the public are getting, if you like, the same context and the same type of message from different sources. And I think that has huge potential in terms of getting how do you call it, critical mass of influence, you know, as distinct from having a number of disparate kinds of campaigns coming from different directions. So we're very, very keen that Leave No Trace would be a kind of a firm platform for a lot of the activity that goes on in terms of public awareness. I mean, Mayo will talk about the campaign that's due to start now shortly, and that is something that is extremely positive, and you know, a lot of the state agencies and their own core members and government departments are really behind that, and I think that is absolutely the platform for the future, you know. And I think by having that kind of critical mass of messaging and a kind of coherent message, I think the public will get it much more, because they'll be getting the message from a whole series of different directions, and that is really important. So a time of great opportunity. You know, it has been a good year. 2022 will be a good year. The results are very solid. The opportunities that are there are being exploited, and I'd like to just finish by first of all thanking our board and management and staff who do a fantastic job and are really committed to delivering. We get great support from government ministers. We had 3 of them at a photo call a couple of days ago, which is, and the Lord Mayor. So there is fantastic political support, and from government departments, our core members, corporate partners, communities and volunteers right across the country, you know. So I'd like to thank everyone for their contribution. We certainly have ambitious plans to do more and to do it better, and we look forward to working with you, you know, in the year ahead and the years ahead, you know. So thank you very much. With that, I think I'd like to hand over to Maura. Maura is going to go through a more detailed presentation on the activities in 2021. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Paddy, and welcome everybody to this year's AGM, members, trainers, directors and friends, and thank you for joining us today. Since our last AGM, so this time last year, a little bit before COVID pandemic continued to impact all of our lives. So throughout the various lockdowns and various stages as restrictions were lifted, people across our countryside showed a greater appreciation for the importance of the outdoors, and as well, they started to reconnect with nature and biodiversity around them. And for Leave No Trace Ireland, that was a time that allowed us to raise questions around the impact of this new increased activity on our outdoor spaces. And we want the public and we want everyone to enjoy the outdoors as much as they can, but to really understand how to do it in a responsible way, and really to understand the significant social and environmental impacts that increased activity without that personal care can have in terms of litter, dog waste, livestock worrying, disturbance to wildlife, overcrowding and damage due to wild camping and wildfires. Throughout 2021, we responded to these new challenges and developed new programs and services. And this really happened due to the ongoing valued partnerships that we have across our program. And as a result, we were able to do new programs and services on education, training, and public information. And really, as a result, for the increased demand for environmental stewardship programs, we experienced exponential growth throughout 2021. And I'll be touching on this growth throughout this presentation. And of course, all the activity is reflected in our annual report 2021. So the first, I suppose, important piece to note is that we launched our strategic plan in 2021, and this will bring us through to realise our vision until 2024. But I want everyone to know that it's not a standalone strategy, it's a strategy that was built in partnership with all of our partners and members and the public, and that it very much feeds into all the work that's happening in the Northern Ireland Outdoor Recreation Forum, and as well Corlin Atua and the new National Outdoor Recreation Strategy that is coming. For the purpose of today, I'll be bringing you through some highlights that we achieved on the progress of our new strategic plan, on our new strategic priorities, which are inspiring and recruiting outdoor advocates, sharing environmental ethics, research, winning hearts and minds, and integrity and excellence. In inspiring and outdoor and recruiting outdoor advocates, we had a record year. We doubled membership and we really saw a surge of activity around the launch of our public awareness campaign. And that really showed to us that people wanted to understand what the right thing was to do when they go outside. So we saw an increase across our members, including member individuals, communities, organisations, core and corporate members, as well as a whole range of trainers who were new as part of our accredited training program and training centres. And with the increase of all that new activity in our membership program, we saw as well this new emerging request from our membership program and network around this, specific needs. So looking for local site-specific content and information for public awareness, bespoke education or training needs, bespoke research. So looking ahead, we see this as a really, really important piece of work for us to continue to build meaningful engagement with our members and really develop those community-led programs. I'd like to sincerely thank all of our core members for their ongoing support. Without your core funding, the programme wouldn't be in a position to sustainably move forward. So just to say from myself a sincere thank you for your support again. We're hoping to continue to build our new core members, and we're delighted to say with progress from discussions in 2022, we now are delighted to welcome the Heritage Council, who are supporting our core programme as well. So that's very welcome news, which will help build our education capacity. Our strategic priority looks to build our corporate programmes, and in 2021, we had worked with a range of corporates, in particular Marks and Spencer's, Lidl, Gas Networks Ireland and Deloitte. And traditionally we would have started that process or program around corporate with doing impact days, but we built that into a series of days, online webinars and employee lunch and learn sessions. But last year was the inaugural launch of a brand new corporate programme that we launched in County Tipperary in Glengarra Woods. And that was a brand new year-long project with a corporate that was significant in terms of its size and its vision, in terms of looking at a site that had specific recreational impacts from increased recreational activity. And really what's interesting about this project is it brings together a whole suite of partners. We had Quailta, Gas Networks Ireland, the Burn Court community, the local community as well, and Leave No Trace Ireland. And we worked to do in partnership together was identify the problems through an ecological baseline survey and then develop solutions for those specific problems, which were mainly around litter, trail erosion and the spread of invasive species, to build a programme around solutions that included education, action and community engagement. So we removed litter and waste, we improved access to the site, we looked at invasive species management on the site, and we developed site-specific educational materials for the local community group with site-specific communications. And we have this lovely long-term partnership now with the Burn Court community, an ongoing partnership with Gas Networks Ireland and Glengarra Woodland as a site to continue education and awareness around respect and care for our natural environment. There's ongoing citizen science around BioBlitz there, and we're delighted to say that after the pilot project, we've got 2 hotspots happening in 2022, one with Gas Networks and another now with Deloitte. So we see this as a really, really excellent way to progress a long-term partnership with corporate programs going forward. Our second strategic objective is sharing outdoor ethics. And again, we had a record year. The restrictions eased after COVID and we had a big jump in people wanting to get outdoors. So a big jump in our awareness and our trainer courses. What was very interesting is that even as the restrictions eased, we had continued to experience a high demand for online blended learning. So webinars have become a huge, I suppose, service for us in terms of the delivery of our educational message as well. And we'll continue to do that. We're delighted to continue the Explorers programme. We increased the services from 3 counties now to 7, and we'll continue to do that through the next 3 years. And we're delighted to reach over 1,600 students and 64 teachers. And there was a lot of adapting throughout COVID, and we moved online, and then once the restrictions were eased, we were able to go back out and bring the children on a seashore safari, but have a blended approach where they would have one visit online as well, which works very well. Our Leave No Trace Champions programme continues to be really strong in its delivery. We've got a whole suite of new educational resources, and this year we delivered that in the midst of the lockdown, and it was really well received. We had our highest number of champions with 1,860 online workshops, and a thank you to the Department of Rural Community Development for helping us develop our resources for that programme. Our training network and education network continues to grow. So we built and launched this new governance structure to oversee quality assurance and really support all of our new trainers and training centres. That was launched by Richard Louv. We now have a continuous CPD programme in 2021. We have over 100 trainers and training centres, and just a huge thank you to all of you who do a fantastic job working with schools, communities, our members, and developing programs for us. As our network has grown equally, we've started to really develop the training and educational resources, which we really needed to customize for the Irish context. So in 2021, our biggest educational project really was the training manual. So we now have a first Leave No Trace manual for outdoor ethics in Ireland. This documents over 100 pages. It's extensive, full with activities, that help trainers deliver age-appropriate sessions, as well as habitat-specific or site-specific ideas for delivering environmental stewardship. And it also has a lot of information around land ownership in Ireland, around concerns around access in the outdoors as well. So this is a coming together of lots of different I suppose, challenges that we have in the Irish context, and it's a fabulous resource for anyone teaching outdoor ethics in Ireland. So I'd really encourage you to use this. Thanks to Dublin Leader, as part of that project, we were able to continue building the suite of resources for our trainers. So now we've got a whole suite of teaching cards and a pack for how to run an awareness course or how to run a trainer course. So you've got wonderful teaching cards for all the principals, and lots of new digital videos as well. So that's a fantastic resource for this new training network to deliver high quality programs. We have, thanks to Kilkenny Leader, developed our first new online awareness course. As I mentioned earlier, people are very interested in online engagement with Leave No Trace. Not everyone can get to the outdoors to learn, but if they wanted to get an introduction, this is the first ever self-directed online introduction to us. And it's a beautifully designed way to engage through videos and quizzes, as well as giving really good baseline information on personal responsibility and care in the outdoors. And of course, it has a broader audience and reach through increased accessibility. It's online and it's free. So I'd encourage you all to visit our website and have a look at that course. We also developed a whole suite of merchandise and uniforms for a trainer network with new IDs. So that, again, thanks to the Outdoor Recreation Infrastructure Fund and Leitrim partnership, we were able to avail of that. Public awareness has been a huge part of our programme in the last 2 years. In 2021, we increased our public awareness campaign, and we had a major impact, reaching 4 million people through social media, 3 million through radio ads, and we had a huge increase in social media and really engagement. And I'm really delighted to welcome 2 new official partners, Dublin City Council, Bernie and his team, as well as Westport Ireland, and over 90 stakeholders who are officially supporting the 22 campaign, which is just shows the phenomenal need that people want information on how to be respectful in the outdoors, but also that whole piece around enjoyment in the outdoors as well. So this year's campaign is launching on Monday, so you'll be seeing lots of new content. We've developed urban content for the city environment or the urban environment, as well as habitat specific and activity specific messaging as well. And as we get more resources, we continue to build our partnerships and really build that content in collaboration with each other. We recognise that there are some localised issues that require localised public awareness content as well. We learned that through a pilot I'll be talking about we did with private landowners. But just to say, we've started to progress work in that area. This year we launched a public awareness campaign around invasive species, and we're working with the climate action offices as well and a number of stakeholders to do a whole piece around sand dunes and how they are so sensitive that they require a specific message and specific campaigns as well. Our next objective is around research and responsible recreation, and our programme really is looking to build our research. The ERG did a really excellent piece of work which developed an education strategy but also a research strategy now. So we've got the wheels in motion to really start building a foundation for not just the international research but the research that we have in the context of the Irish environment. And wheels are in motion. There's a number of projects. We have research underway with NUIG at the moment. We have research underway to publish some journals around behavioural change in the Irish countryside. And as well, we have a number of interesting projects I want to touch on here, pilot projects where we're starting to work with local specific issues that we're seeing here in Ireland. The first is the C project, which is sustainability in outdoor sports. We are the lead in this project. We're working with 10 partners across Europe, and that aims to build knowledge around sustainability in outdoor sports for the people delivering outdoor recreation. And we will be delivering an Irish meeting in June in Achill this year. Lots of you will be familiar with that. But they've already published some research on what the impacts are across Europe for people engaging in outdoor sports. So we'll be looking forward to sharing that research with our members shortly. And as a result of that project, a toolkit will be published as well. The second kind of piece of research that we undertook was we wanted to understand more how Leave No Trace could support private landowners. So we undertook a pilot. It was funded by Kerry's partnership. So that was fantastic. We did it with the farmers in the McGillicuddy Reeks. It was over 2 days. And that really was an important piece of work for us in understanding and listening to the specific concerns that farmers have in regard to recreation on private landowners' land. We're very conscious of that with our commitment to supporting Corla and the new National Outdoor Recreation Strategy as well. But the feedback was so positive from them, and really they gave us very clear information in terms of how we can continue to support them with localized environmental campaigns around Leave No Trace, with their localized information and local guidelines on public awareness for visitors coming onto those sites as well. So that's something we'll be continuing to do. We're delighted to receive an award to be a partner in the Go Green Erasmus project. We'll be a partner in that, and that looks at aiming to build capacity for decision makers working environmental issues in outdoor spaces. And part of that will include a research project as well. And finally, we undertook our first Level 6 award in nature animation. This was the first of its kind, a course designed and developed by Leave No Trace Ireland, the National Parks and Wildlife, and Munster Technical University. So a sincere thank you to both our partners and the MPWS for funding this. There's been an enormous response with over 300 applications in 2021 for 20 spaces. That course is delivered online and in person, and it includes a work placement in the national parks, and a big part of it is delivering Leave No Trace education and awareness as well. So we're thrilled to see that happening again this year in 2022, and fantastic to hear that some of the graduates from last year are working already within the national park on different projects. So for us, really, it just shows that there's real value in building partnerships and building Leave No Trace into different research and education training programs that are happening across the country, as well as designing new programs to help our partners deliver new educational needs. Finally, integrity and excellence. So Paddy's touched on, I suppose, the financial piece, and Pearl will be giving you a lot more information on that after my presentation. But really just to say that we're in a good financial position. There's been a lot of growth, and we're really looking at now building our capacity to scale up and match the resource to meet that growth, so it's delivered in a sustainable way going forward. And we'll continue really to develop the governance to meet that growth. But you know, the hard work that we've put in recent years and investment has been recognised, and we were awarded in 2021 Ireland's most impactful NGO, as well as the Wheels National Impact Awards for medium charities in Ireland. Looking ahead, we'll continue to work with our partners, in particular to build our engagement and partnership through the National Outdoor Recreation Forum in Northern Ireland and Corla Natua, and support the new National Outdoor Recreation Strategy, which is going to have a huge component around respect and care for the outdoors. We want to continue our capacity building and build further education and growth across our organisation, and really secure and increase our unrestricted funding so that we can ultimately expand our education, research and public awareness services to really act as that national unified message for respect and care for the outdoors. So that brings the presentation for the to a close for the 2021 AGM. But on a personal note, I'd like to sincerely thank all of our core members, all of our members, and for your continued support. And a special thank you to our inspirational board of directors, whose support, energy, enthusiasm is so important to the staff and I in the work that we do day to day in realising our vision. Thank you to our volunteers, both those active in the communities and all the volunteers who serve in our subgroups of the board. You all work so hard to progress the vision of Leave No Trace to inspire ethical outdoor recreation. And finally, an enormous thank you to our dedicated staff who, for a small number of people, achieved so much. Rachel, Noel, Tracy, Imelda, Porrig, Grace, Edmund, Mairead, William, Sorcha, and Natalia, on behalf of the board and I and the network, thank you for your commitment and hard work. So now I will hand you over to Pearl Clarke, who will give you an update on the 2021 financial statements.
Good, thank you, Maura. Good morning, everybody. Maura's had a very dynamic, exciting presentation there. Just over to the boring stuff now with me, but boring, but very, very important. What I want to do this morning is just give you some confidence and comfort around how we organise the financial affairs and how financials are managed in Leave No Trace. First and foremost, we're absolutely fully compliant with SORC, which is the charity regulation which we need to follow as a charitable organisation. All applicable laws and regulations in Ireland have been followed. We have suitable and consistent accounting policies. We have reasonable and prudent accounting policies. These have all been checked. In relation to accounting records, adequate and absolutely proper records have been managed throughout the year. And the accounts that have been shared with you all, which I don't expect you all to go through in any amount of detail, but they've been absolutely prepared on the basis of going concern, continued operations, which is what we are at the moment. Any grants that we were applicable for have been fully utilised during the year as well. So just to give you the comfort in relation to that. Just to follow on from what Maura was saying, look, we've had an absolutely bumper, busy, successful year. Maura has outlined all the growth. This performance reflects the hard work that Maura and the small team, you know, and every single one of them have contributed to the performance for 2021. Obviously, we've increased outdoor activity. In relation to all of this, from my point of view, what we're looking at is we have a stable balance sheet, and that's the comfort I want to give to you today. This is absolutely essential in a business that's growing at the rate that this business is growing. And as Maura has outlined, growth is forecast, further growth is forecast for this year and the coming years in relation to the strategic plan. Rachel, could you share the slide, please? What I want to do is this is a very, very top level, but just to give you kind of an overview as to where we are year on year in relation to what's happening. So this is, look, at a very top level, our income for the year was 666,000, and you can see the split there between restricted and unrestricted funds. Just to give you a feel for where we've come from, in 2020, that 666 number was 346. So we've actually grown. So in terms of, you know, revenue income, we've grown by 90%, over 90% year on year, which is absolutely, you know, phenomenal. It's fantastic for such a small organization. In relation to what's contributed to that number and that growth, Maura has gone through a lot of that already today. Obviously, membership was up in the year, and we did have reduced CSR days in the year 2021, but that was due to the COVID restrictions, and our standard training was down, but our webinars were up. So this is Maura and the team pivoting around the restrictions that they were faced with during the year. So that's, you know, it's great for us as a board to be able to see how they can change the management of the organisation to reflect what's going on. Note 5, some of our projects have been deferred into 2022, but they're not deferred. They're only deferred. They're not cancelled. So that revenue, we will pick up some of that income in 2022. Note 5 in the accounts gives a very detailed description of the different income sources throughout the year. So I think if anybody, you know, is of interest, that's where you'll find all that information. Rachel, could you move to the next slide, please? Thank you. So in relation to expenditure, here we're at 636k in the year. So obviously with our, we're a charitable organisation taking on the increased, 90% increase in income. Obviously, there are costs associated with that. So obviously our costs have gone up from around, they were about 320 last year. So it's kind of, I suppose, it's related, it's relative in terms of the growth of the organisation. And we had a few changes during the year in relation to some people who were previously weren't on staff. They're now in staff, and we had a few kind of small restructurings like that, and slightly different allocations in our management accounts in relation to SORP. So our profit for the year is 29k. It was 26k last year. So look, it's a great place to be in. It's great to be involved in a charity that's very busy and busy pumping the new, working on the projects and the new income that's coming in, pumping that into projects again. So we're not looking to make a massive surplus at the end of the day, but we just, we want to be profitable and to keep growing the organization. Thanks, Rachel. So in relation to where we are with Maura, I just want to cross-reference a few things that Maura spoke about. Look, governance, corporate governance and governance in Leave No Trace is very strong. It's, it's prioritized. We have separate committees. We talk about this on a regular basis. So I just want people to know that, we're all over this in relation to where we want to be. For the management accounts during the year, we have management accounts, very detailed management accounts. We look at accounts and numbers and payments on a monthly basis. Then we reviewed our quarterly management accounts on very detailed basis. I'll go into more about that, about our in-house resource now in a minute. And then that is presented to the board on a quarterly basis. So the board have full visibility of the management accounts and a summary presentation every quarter where we discuss, different issues and any changes, and just kind of, I suppose, drill into the detail. And what's good about that is everybody on the board brings a different element to the organization and to Maura and the team, and then you get to see that all coming together and in the financial aspects where we can see the detail on the different projects and programs that are in operation. So like we're absolutely monitoring and controlling costs as we're building up the income. And a new thing that we've introduced this year is the management of costs and income by project. So we have full clarity and transparency of trying to work out what are costs associated with different projects, etc. So we've really come a long way in relation to that. The next thing that I want to chat about is last year we would have discussed the audit report, and last year at the end of FY 2020, the auditor had two recommendations for us, and they were number one, to build our reserves, and number two, to consider having an in-house resource in the finance function. So I'll talk about the first one, just reserves for anyone who doesn't understand what reserves is. Just very simply, it's like it's your savings for a rainy day. So it's like your piggy bank, that if everything was to, we weren't to get any income in tomorrow from any of our sponsors or partners, that we'd have enough money to run the business, the organization for 6 months, so like pay salaries, pay rent, pay rates, that kind of thing. So we were advised last year that ours was a little bit on the low side. So I'm happy to report this year that we've added 30k to that number. So we're now at a closing number of 118k in reserves at the end of 2021, which is a great place to be. Now look, this is there's kind of a target, but as we grow, the target will grow as well. And obviously, 6 months of costs are changing as we're growing. So like what I'd be expecting, without putting kind of numbers and targets in it, I'd be expecting that we'd be well over the one, further north of the 150 as at the end of 2022. That's the target. So Maura and the team, in relation to the projects that we're running, we want to just make sure that we're not breaking even on every project, because we need to have a little bit of I suppose savings in that piggy bank at the end of each year. So that's the journey that we're on there, and that is a continuous journey that you'll hear me talking about every year. we won't stop on that. There's not a number that we need to get to. We just need to keep growing that. In relation to the second recommendation from last year that the auditors had for us, it was to consider bringing having an in-house financial resource, accounting resource. And it wasn't that we had a problem. We had it outsourced, but obviously with anything that's outsourced, it doesn't get your full attention. And, we just wanted somebody who knew the organization well and was involved in the day-to-day. So I'm absolutely delighted that we have a new person on board since the beginning of the year, and she's playing an absolute blinder, and she's making all of our lives easier, which is fantastic. And we've much more transparency. It's much more efficient. We've somebody at the pulse of what's going on now. And as we grow, this is something that we just cannot take our eye off. The funding and our partners and controlling our costs. So Maura and the team and Imelda, who's joined the team now, are just absolutely all over this, which is great. And it gives me comfort, and then in that way then I can confirm and give everybody else the confidence that we're watching that very closely. In relation to I suppose the next thing we need to talk about is kind of next year and 2022. I know we're in our second quarter already. We're doing well already this quarter. Just we left FY21 on a very firm base for this year to continue for this year. Back on the other slide, we were kind of showing unrestricted and restricted funding. Obviously, Maura and the team are trying to focus on more of the unrestricted funding and income where they can. We will have, from a financial perspective, a continuous focus on reserves going forward. We're making small changes with systems in the background, more transparency with our quarterly reporting. So that's all going on in the background. The auditor didn't really have any specific kind of, I suppose, recommendations this year. It was obviously just to continue where we are with our resources, and then obviously to look at the projects, or sorry, not with our resources, sorry, with our reserves, and to look at the projects that do contribute, to keep us on that journey to keep building up our reserves as we grow. So obviously we're not going to take our eye off that, and to make sure, as I said, that we have some projects that are above break even for us. Look, I just want to thank Maura and the team. They've done an absolutely amazing job. This growth is practically 100% growth year on year. It's very important. I am the person with the Grim Reaper talking about the numbers, and it's very boring, but it's very important that we're absolutely all over this, and we're managing it. We've got full kind of transparency and confidence in what we're doing, and having the in-house resources really helped us. So as the organization grows, we will continue to review this and keep it. We're not standing still on this. We'll continue to review it as the organization continues to grow. So that's all from me. So I hope that gives some comfort and confidence to everybody about how the organization is doing financially, and the financial strength and the strong balance sheet that we have, and that we're monitoring it very closely as we grow from month to month and for the years to come. Thank you. So look, I'll hand you back to Pat now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pearl, for the overview of the accounts. And as you said, sometimes not the most exciting part of any AGM, but utterly critical to the future and stability of the organisation. In terms of our agenda, there's a few moments set aside here now for questions. If people would like to ask any questions of the presentations, I'd like to thank Maura and Paddy and Pearl for the very detailed overview of the activities and the finances of Leave No Trace. And so we'll pause for a moment. The chat box is on the bottom of your screen. Please feel free if there's any questions that you'd like to ask of Maura or Paddy or indeed Pearl on those presentations. I'll offer you some of my own rambling insights for a moment or two while we wait. It's great to see the growth in Leave No Trace in 2021. It's astonishing, it's amazing. And as Pearl has said, it's almost 100% growth, which is incredible. And all of this in the background of an absolutely unbelievably difficult year for everyone with COVID. There's not a single person in the country who wasn't touched by the pandemic. And probably the only good thing to come from COVID was the significant increase in the use of the outdoors and the welcome reconnection that people had with nature, and people reconnected with the outdoors and nature around them, particularly during lockdown. But that also brought its own issues with the increased use of the outdoors, and we saw problems with track erosion, we saw problems with littering, we saw problems with dog fouling, overcrowding, dumping, etc. So really, Leave No Trace has never been more relevant than it has now, and it's great to see the organisation grow and respond to these challenges. But as Perla said, to grow sustainably and responsibly, and with my director hat on, it's fantastic to see that this growth is directly aligned to the strategic objectives, to the strategy that Leave No Trace have laid down. And if you have a spare half an hour at any stage, I'd encourage people to download the strategy from the website, have a read of it, and it'll give you an indication of the direction that the organisation is going. So what Maura and Pearl or Paddy are explaining to us in detail is the operation, bringing that strategy to life and delivering on the objectives of the organisation. And great to see it done so responsibly, so well. As Pearl said, it's a small thing, it's dull, but the governance of the accounts to make sure it's in line with SORP, and then for the guys to be winning awards around that as well is really incredible. So it gives the directors confidence and the members confidence that the organisation is growing sustainably and responsibly and at a fantastic rate. You might be concerned about such rate of growth if we didn't have all those controls, measures and protections in place and it wasn't aligned with the strategy. So really exciting times and really challenging times as well for us all. So I'm not seeing any new questions coming in, and I'm pretty sure you didn't log in to hear me share my insights with you. So I think what we'll do is I'll hand you back over to Paddy for the resolution. So thank you everyone, and thanks for the contributions, and Paddy, I'll hand over to you now.
Okay, just the delay is because I have to unmute here, but thank you very much to everybody. I think, you know, I'm not going to repeat all of what's been said, but you know, I suppose the one thing for me is that the growth and the increase in revenue translates into getting the message out farther and wider and deeper to the public out there, and hopefully in the end of the day that will all translate into a much better environment for everybody to enjoy and so on. So I think that's the win, that's the big win out of all of this, you know. So I'll just move on to there's a couple of formal resolutions, but before we come to that, can I just see all the ticks down along, because that means that can I just confirm with Emma as regards proxies?
No, I can confirm we received no proxies.
Okay. The first resolution is to seek to formally approve the 2021 annual accounts and the director's report. We haven't received any you know, if you like, contrary proposals or objections. So I go straight through to asking the floor to have a proposer and a seconder for that resolution. So I'd ask Rachel to advise.
Cormac, Waterways Ireland, propose.
Perfect. And we have in the chat as well from Anna Grant. So we have a proposer and a seconder.
Okay, so that's great. Thank you very much. I can confirm that the resolution number 1 is passed. The second resolution, number 2, is for the appointment of Pierce O'Malley of O'Malley Chartered Accountants. This is following a tender process which we ran in the last couple of months to appoint them as auditors for 2022 and 2023, and for the reappointment of Sean Nolan of Clark Hill Solicitors as company solicitors for 2022 and 2023. So again, we haven't had any contrary proposals on that, so I'd ask for a proposer and a seconder for the floor on those as well, please.
Okay, we have Anna Grant for a proposal and Shane Deneen for a second. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I can confirm that resolution number 2 is passed. In regard to directors, the board is actually we're fully up to complement at the moment. There are no changes or re-elections required. So there are no resolutions in regard to that. And at this stage, I suppose we're really down to if there are any further questions or anything else has occurred to anybody at this stage. There's a little opportunity now to raise it. There had been a number of very positive comments I see have come up there. You know, thank you very much to everybody for those. So I'll hand back to Pat just to supervise this.
Thanks, Paddy. And we have indeed just a couple of questions in. So we've a question in relation to was there any resource generated as a result of the private landowner sessions at Killarney National Park, such as a pack that could be provided to landowners? So I'll give that question to Maura as it's operational. Maura, are you happy to give a view on that? Thanks.
Sure, yeah, I saw that question coming in from Jennifer. Yeah, we have a presentation report that we'd be very happy to share. It's on our website, but we can email that after. And it was very, very interesting to hear what the recommendations from the local farmers were. And while we don't have a pack, we do have the learnings, which really outline that there's huge support for the Leave No Trace programme, and that further work needs to be, I suppose, completed with them around localised messages and localised resource. So for it to work best, that's the approach we will be taking. We have already started on a kind of a second phase of that with our partners down in the Kerry biosphere. So very happy to share that with you, you know, and touch base later on in the week. I can keep going there, Pat, because I see there's another question and
thanks, Maura.
Really good suggestion around Leave No Trace in the voluntary sector. So we have, I suppose, a connection that is just, I suppose, it's in its infancy, but we have a very good partnership with Stuart Garland, and he's been doing a lot of webinars and training via Volunteer Ireland, but it certainly is an area that we can progress and further develop. And that's something that I think that we would be able to do once we just have a resource put in place to design and develop that. And I suppose what we're learning is that there's huge appetite from our volunteers. They want to do it, and we do have a lot of resources. It's just enabling, I suppose, a partnership to, I suppose, oversee the coordination of all those, I suppose, inductions and training going forward. But yes, certainly, Emma, it's definitely an area to for Leave No Trace, and it's in our strategic plan going forward as well to support. Martina, good to see you. I see there's a question there around the trainer manual. You can pop into the office and pick one up. Martina, for people who don't know, is one of our most active trainers, and all of our trainers are able to access that new training manual now. So very happy to share that if you're part of our accredited network. But equally, if you're a member and you would like to see the information, get in touch and we can share a copy with you as well.
Thanks very much, Maura. We're just coming to the close time, I think, of the AGM, and I know people are jumping from one Zoom meeting to another, so I won't keep people much longer. It just remains for me to thank everyone for their time this morning. It's great to see so many people logged in. I'd like to, on behalf of the directors, thank the team at Leave No Trace for an incredible period of work in 2021, and looks like 2022 is heading in the same direction as well. And to finish, just to echo Paddy, our chair's remarks, that with the growth of the organisation, we're seeing an increase in the message, the outreach of Leave No Trace, and the figures that Maura showed us, that 4 million people and 3 million people reached via social media and radio on the Love This Place campaign, which I understand will be starting again in 2022 next week. So keep an eye out on the radio, keep an eye out on your social media. Please share and like all of the messages, and do your best to spread the good word of Leave No Trace Ireland and inspiring ethical outdoor use of the outdoors. So it remains for me, on behalf of everyone here in the Knockranny House Hotel in Westport, to thank you for your time and to formally close the Leave No Trace Ireland 2022 AGM. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye and thanks.